This trip took place about a month ago, and I can tell you straight up that it was very crucial to the way that the rest of the season would play out. This journey starts on January 4th, 2026, when I decided that for the first time ever, I would embark on a completely solo ski trip across the country, which ended up being the most, or at least one of the most, chaotic weeks of my life. Before the story really starts though, let's get through one of the worst parts of all, which is the actual travel to get there. My travel day started with me getting in the car at 4:30 in the morning, where my dad drove me all the way down to LaGuardia International Airport, to then where I would arrive at the airport 3 hours prior to my flight. Right away I was already sweating my ass off trying to get all my equipment into the building because I packed pretty damn heavy for this trip. It didn't really help that I overdressed because I was already sweating my ass off getting through security and basically every other part of the airport. My mood was already a little tampered with also because of how much I ended up paying in oversized baggage. But I knew the amount of equipment I was carrying for this trip would be worth it for the type of filmmaking I was going to be doing, and honestly just wanting to be totally prepared for my first ever solo travel. Once I made it all the way to my gate, I waited a couple hours for them to start boarding. I was keeping my eye on the board that was saying which groups were boarding, but then all of a sudden I hear my name get called. Turns out they were loading everyone at once despite having specific group numbers on the board, so I grabbed my stuff quickly and jumped on the plane. I was definitely annoyed with myself for almost missing my flight despite getting there 3 hours early and basically having all my preparations ready, and even the gatekeeper or whatever you call her was mad at me despite me not having slowed down anything, but hey, I feel like they always have something to be mad about. Regardless, I told myself from here on no more mistakes. Also, a girl had started talking to me at the gate, which was another reason for me being distracted. But anyways, flight number 1 to Toronto goes pretty well, and I land and take a quick bathroom break, which ended up taking much longer than anticipated but couldn't be delayed, and that's because of the absolute mess that Toronto International Airport is. And as I'm reading this, I read mess instead of maze, but honestly both words are definitely true. So I make my way through this absolute shit show of an airport looking for my connecting flight, when all of a sudden I get a phone call from American Airlines saying that I need to pick up my baggage and that someone would bring my luggage up to the info desk for me. So I go from one end to another and back to an employee with my luggage, but there was one bag that wasn't there, so they had to go all the way back through the airport, and 10 minutes later I had all of my stuff. My guess is since it was my skis, they didn't see it and it was in the oversized luggage. I felt bad and I tried to tip her, but she didn't accept, so anyways, I couldn't really do much about that. But to me, it's kind of crazy to rely on that type of travel info being told to me from an announcement which I slept through, instead of being on my travel itinerary, which it wasn't. But anyways, I had to go through another 3-hour process of checking my bags, going through security after waiting hours and hours in line, and slugging from one end of the airport to the complete opposite side. But after the excruciating airport process, I finally made it to my gate and actually met a new friend, and we had a beer while we were waiting for a delayed flight. And I even ended up running into a group of people who live around my hometown, which was pretty crazy.
Yo, I ran into this kid from Philly. What's going on?
Yo, what's up?
So, as expected, flight number 2 arrives late, and after trying to contact my airport transportation, they said to just call them when we land and they'll cancel me if the flight arrives late. So I'll get back to that in a second. But anyways, I get on the plane and I was at least treated to some free beer on the flight, so I definitely enjoyed my time on there. It was very cool too because it was starting to get dark out, and it was just kind of a vibe looking out the window as the sun was setting and having a nice beer. But if things didn't end up being crazy enough today, I ended up talking to the kid next to me on the flight, and after exchanging Instagrams, it turns out I met his friend at a ski resort on the very opening day of the season. And it wasn't just someone who I'd met once, but it was someone who I shot some content for, sent clips to, and now we follow each other. So it kind of showed how small this world can be sometimes, if my clips earlier this season didn't prove that to you anyways. So my flight lands, and as expected, I'm like 30 minutes late to my airport transportation. And after trying to call them, I realized that it was outside of their hours, so I wasn't even sure if I would get my refund, which I ended up getting later in the trip, but that's besides the point. So I'm sitting in the airport with basically no idea of how I'm going to get to the mountain. I was stuck between either a super expensive shuttle service to get to the mountain or a bus operation that would take me 4+ hours to get there, and I probably wouldn't arrive at my hotel until after 1 a.m. However, I ran into a sharp-dressed guy offering a shuttle service, and I asked if he could take me to Lake Louise. He said yes, and despite him saying $560 for the trip, I was basically desperate. After spending 12 hours in the airport that day, the only thing I cared about was getting out of there. So I took the offer and enjoyed a super luxurious Tesla ride to the mountain, and even though it was so dark, I was still able to get some really sick shots. We even ended up hitting a blizzard on the way up there, but it was no issue. And when I got there, I only had to pay $360 compared to $560. He ended up telling me the wrong price by accident to begin with, and I forgot about the exchange rate, so it all worked out in the end. So I get up to my room, knocked out after the second worst travel day of my life, leading into my first ski day of the trip, which is honestly where this story really begins. After the hell that was the flying process to get here, we made it to the mountain, and it's snowing, and there's like nobody here. So it's gonna be a really, really good day. I've never actually been here while it was snowing either, I don't think so. It's always been super sunny, so it's a really cool change of pace, and I can't wait to see what we get into today. That's actually a giant jump, holy shit. The parks here are so scary. This one's always been like the medium sized. Okay, I actually had a little situation with my GoPro. I realized that I didn't charge any of my Max 2 batteries last night because I thought they were already charged. So I went through all of them today and I was like, damn, I actually have no equipment to film any skiing with today. But then I realized I have my original Max and backup batteries for it. So I tried to pull that out and put it together on the mountain. But the screw on my helmet was in too tight that I couldn't take it off with my own hands. So I went down to the ski rental, grabbed a screwdriver, figured that out, had some food because honestly I did a run and I felt like kind of weak and very Let's do back seat, I think. I just feel my weight is just going straight towards my ass on some turns. I don't know if I need to keep momentum going or what, but okay. I should be careful in here. We don't want to fly down that. It's kind of going around. Where are you going? Oh, you know what might be good? So I'm kind of staying away from the goalies right now because of the visibility. Yeah. But on the other side, if you want to go into West Bowl, okay, check that out. Here, let's go. Yeah. Yeah. gotta be it in here, right? Awesome. I think right here will drop.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Woo. My God. Woo. Yeah. Woohoo! Whoa! Holy shit!
That was sick.
That was fucking awesome,
that was
dude.
So sick. Fuck, I wish we could do it again. That was sick.
Yeah, I know, right? That was a little steep and tight in there. A little bumpy. That was pretty sick. Left or right? Well, so good. Alright, I'm back in the room. My lens is a little foggy because it was cold out there. The top summit chair was like the coldest chairlift I've been on in a while. But today was sick. The first few runs of the day were pretty rough just because my legs feel so like beat up and sore from like just walking around the airport all day yesterday and then having to stay still in like really tight seats on the planes. So it was a really long travel day and my body didn't really fully recover from that. But other than that, I felt pretty good. Could use a little more energy, but today I was really happy with the skiing. I didn't ski super long today, but honestly, it ended up being one of the best days I've ever had here just because of the snow. And I met up with a really cool snowboarder from Australia, and he's also a professional videographer, and he does adrenaline sports and stuff like that. So he's not going to be here tomorrow, but he's going to be here Wednesday and Thursday. I'm going to shoot a lot of content with him. I wanted to get out there early this morning because I didn't even know we were getting like 11 centimeters of snow, which is like 5.5 inches or something like that. So it was really good. But honestly, I found it all day long. Like I found like in West Bowl, it just held the snow so well and nobody goes over there. It reminds me of the Hobacks at Jackson Hole where it's just kind of in that same area on the mountains. So that was really sick. But right now I'm going to go down to the hot tub, relax, and just, not even know at this point, like just meet new people. And it's the cool thing about solo traveling is just like, I've never done it before, but now since I'm doing it, like it really forces you to talk to people and make new connections. And trust me, I still much prefer traveling with my dad, but it's still cool to do all sorts of different things. I do miss having my own vehicle out here though, because the airport situation was not fun. But, meeting new people and stuff like that, I really wanted to get outside of my comfort zone and do something like that. And after the prior 2 seasons of coming to Lake Louise, I just felt like this was the perfect place to go to. I just felt like it has such a good just convenience for me. I mean, the flying was rough, but like it's 5 minutes from the mountain. It's just the lodging is great. They gave me the main building too. I've never gotten the main building before, so I'm staying in the main building in a lodge, which means I don't have to walk outside. I can just walk down to the hot tub, to dinner, to all that stuff, which is so much better. And they upgraded me to a king bed as well, which, trust me, I slept really damn well in that thing. I gotta say, like, besides the GoPro little situation this morning, which was pretty inconvenient and honestly like wasn't too hard to deal with, I just took I had my original Max with me, had a couple batteries that were charged, and filmed with that today, and it worked pretty good for the amount of skiing I did. And this was definitely one of the best days I've ever had here. It's really cool when you return to a place multiple times, because comparing those experiences every single time and the things that are different in your life and applying them to each situation is just really fun to like think about for me and make videos out of. Like the first time, honestly, the last 2 times I was here were very similar situations. I was on road trips with my dad. Lack of snow. Last year was definitely better snow than the year before, but very rocky and sunny when I was here. But this year, it's been their best snowfall to start a ski season off like ever. So the first day I've ever really experienced powder here. And it's just cool, like now just being by myself and figuring it out and exploring new zones and everything like that. But the last 2 years, the footage I got in here and everything, I just can't wait to see how I top it this year. So anyways, with that being said, since I'm in the main building, I'm going to go down to the hot tub, like I said. And I think I'm done filming for this episode because there was a whole lot in it. And I kind of just need a night to just be to myself and just relax. And I'm here all week. I have 7 days of skiing here, 6 more. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for me to go to the lake and all that stuff this week. But tonight, I'm staying in and I'm just going to relax. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hope I made something very interesting for you to watch. For anyone who's looking into going like skiing by themselves, doesn't have anyone to go with them, just fucking go for it, honestly. It's the only thing I could say. Can't really figure it out if you don't do it right. So see you guys next time. Take care.